What is happening, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be installing the Safari Snorkel. So last episode we installed the airbox. Now all that beautiful work that we've done has to get removed to install the snorkel. This arrived a little bit sooner than I thought, so we have to take the airbox out. A lot of you guys are probably wondering why I went with the Safari Snorkel over, like, just say a stainless steel snorkel. I think it comes down to personal preference. I really like that factory type of look, and I've always loved Safari. They've got, what, 30, 40 years plus of technology and experience on making Safari snorkels, making them efficient. But of course it is up to you guys what you want to choose. It's your car at the end of the day. But let's get straight into it. I'm sure it's going to take a few hours to install this one. I'm going to be drilling a new hole in my brand new car, so that's going to be the first for me. Let's get straight into it. Okay, first things first is jacking up the car, just so we can get a little bit more clearance between the wheel and the fender, because we do have to remove that inner guard so we can have access to behind the panel to tighten up the snorkel and attach the snorkel to the airbox. So you can see these hex Allen key bolts here for the mud flap. We have to remove those, as well as all the factory Toyota clips that surround the whole inner guard, so we can remove that whole piece. Now, I kind of worked the way to get these out is by using two little flathead screwdrivers and kind of popping them out from either side. That I found is the easiest way. Now, there are quite a few clips that hold the inner guard in. It's about bloody 20 clips and a couple of screws. So make sure you take your time and really look at what you need to remove, so you can get this piece out. I can get my hand all the way up here to tighten up that Safari snorkel, as well as undo the factory air intakes. Now, all that beautiful work that we did do last week installing the airbox, it does have to come out, but you don't have to obviously pull it all apart. You can undo the 3 mounting points, pull it out and throw a rag inside the air intake manifold. As you can see here, guys, this is the factory inlet on the 200, and that is connected to the airbox. So what we've got to do is we've got to remove one bolt here, here, and here. Once that is removed, we come inside the engine bay and remove these 2 bolts here, so we can start installing the new Safari snorkels. Now that we've removed all the screws, we can just go ahead and wiggle that piece out. We do not need this anymore, as well as this piece here. So that is the factory intake system into your airbox, guys. This is what runs along this right hand side panel inside the fender. All your air that goes to your airbox to run your car basically is right under that wheel. So all that dust that gets generated, all that hot air from the engine gets sucked up through this into your airbox. So our snorkel basically does 2 things. Number one, it gives you cleaner air. So all that dust that you're generating here, it is not getting sucked up from underneath your guard. It's actually getting sucked up through the top here. So all that air here is a lot cleaner, a lot cooler than down here. Gonna make more power, and you're gonna have cleaner and fresher air. And number 2 is water crossing. So if you guys are ballsy enough to do a water crossing this big, your intake is at a higher level. So instead of doing water crossings that you can up to here, it then becomes a maximum of this height as well. All right, let's get this template on and start cutting into the fender. Okay, let's see exactly what's in this Safari box. Alrighty. Okay, so this is everything that you're going to get in the Safari box. So starting off with this, you got your foam gasket. So this is what goes in between your fender and your snorkel to prevent it from scratching and rubbing and stuff like that. And of course you've got your template as well, where you're going to cut that beautiful hole in your fender, and these are all your holes where your mounting points are as well. So that is very important. This here, pretty self-explanatory, that is your snorkel. And inside these boxes here, that is your ram head. So that is what sits on top of the Safari Snorkel. What's cool about the Safari Snorkels as well is that you can change the head. So if you guys want to run one of those like cyclone heads as well, if you're in dusty conditions, you can run a secondary filter, so that's pretty cool. And I'm guessing this here is all your fitting instructions and clamps, bolts, etc. to clamp it all down. And this here is what connects your Safari Snorkel to your airbox as well. So everything's here, guys. Let's get this template on the car and try and line it up as best as we can. Make sure that you measure 15 times and cut once, because if you stuff this up, well, you're in trouble. So here it is here. You've got two areas where you've got to line up. So number one is lining up the front of your door here, and number two, the top of your guard. Once those two are in position, that is where you cut your hole. So you have to actually remove this part of the template. You don't need that. That looks a bit better. Once those two are lined up, we can take the rest of the template down, and that is where you're going to cut into your guard. So we're using a 114mm hole saw. So we've got to cut two holes here and then blend them together, as well as these holes here which mount the Safari Snorkel to the guard. So let's tape this up and see what we're working with. Okay, the template is now on the car, guys. I've checked it over a few times. You can't really do much because the Safari Snorkel has the intake kind of sticking out. You can't really fit it to the car and make sure that it's in line. I guess you just got to have a lot of faith in the template to make sure that this is right. Now I have put some extra masking tape on the guard itself, just so we can prevent any further scratches or anything like that. So I have put some masking tape on the pillar as well, because it does have a little bracket to support the Safari Snorkel onto the pillar to stop the vibrating. I did buy a brand new hole saw. So this is the 114mm diameter size, because this is going to help you make the cut a lot nicer, because the recip saw, trying to cut that out might be a bit of a pain in the bum. So this will definitely help you out. But just before I do, I just want to give a shout out to Jason from Core 4X4. He's been a huge help, especially for the Manta exhaust system and the Safari Snorkel. He supplied both these two accessories, and he was a huge help in giving me a few tips to installing it myself. So thank you very much, Jason. I really appreciate it. A tip that Jason told me to do prior to putting on the drill bit is to line up your hole saw on both sides and just mark the center point so you know where you're drilling into. On the old templates, I believe they used to have those two drill bit points, but on the new ones they don't. They just have this big hole. So that was a tip from Jason, so thank you very much, mate. Let's mark out where we're going to start drilling and then cut out that big hole. So I'm just marking where we need to drill all these holes that support the snorkel. Big hole as well. What we're going to do is just line up the hole saw, make sure we're happy, and then mark where that drill bit is going to enter the guard on both sides. Alrighty, I've looked at it long enough. I've just got these on for safety glasses. Let's do it. Oh gosh. Okay, so that is hole number one. Man, that is a scary feeling. But we've got one more to drill now, and then we can use the recip saw to cut the rest of it out. There we go. Okay, that drill done the job a lot better. You've got these two little pieces that you've got to cut out. So what we're going to do is just grab the recip saw on the air. We've got brand new blades on that as well, and we're just going to cut these two little pieces out. big cut is now done. I just want to sit the Safari Snorkel on there and see how it lines up with the car before I start drilling out these other holes. Okay. Alright, that's a good thing. The hole looks like it's in the right location. Now on the instruction manual it says that we need to drill these out to 16 millimeters. Now I'm going to go ahead and drill it out to 20 because the washers on the outside are really big, so it gives you a little bit of removability so you can make sure that it's lined up with the guard perfectly. That was another tip that Jason gave me. So yeah, if you guys got a step drill, this is what you need. Don't use a normal drill bit because you will buckle the guard and you do not want that. So make sure you guys get a step drill. We'll drill these out to 20 mil. It's up to you guys what you want to do there. 16 mil is as per the manual, but we're going to drill it out just that little bit bigger so we do have that little movability and we can get it lined up perfectly with the guard. Okay, so this is now cleaned up. It looks a lot neater. The last thing we've got to use is the Deburrer tool. So this is from Super Cheap. I think it's about 10 bucks. And we're just going to use this so we can remove all those little filings and we have a really nice fit. So all you want to do is you kind of just want to go around and it just takes away that sharp edge. A lot easier to paint as well. I did clean the hole up a bit with the die grinder as well as the file because the deburrer didn't get all the sharp edges off, but it did do a pretty good job. Same as last time guys, sealing that SBI link. We're just going to seal it up to make sure that there is no exposed metal because you do not want this to start rusting. Okay, next step while we're waiting for the paint to dry is getting the snorkel ready for fitment. So in the kit it comes with this foam gasket, like I was saying before, just to help stop with the scratches and the rubbing, stuff like that, vibrations. Once we install that foam gasket, in the kit comes with these little studs. So what you're going to do is screw those into the 6 provided nut inserts on the snorkel. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to double nut these so they're nice and tight, as well as put a bit of Loctite so they don't come loose in vibrations and corrugations and stuff like that. So let's install this gasket first. I really like this idea. Safari have really thought about their products well. Okay, now we're just going to get our trusty old Loctite. Put a dab onto your stud, screw these in, and just so we get a really nice tight fitment, I'm just going to do a double nut insert. So I just found a nut in the shed that doesn't have a nylon thread, and then I've just used one of the nuts that are provided in the kit. And what we're going to do is just tighten that won't budge. So what we're going to do is we're just going to install the rest of these studs, and then we can start fitting it up to the car so we can work out where we're going to drill for our A-pillar mount. Next step is we actually need to drill 3 holes into the pillar of the car, just so the top of the snorkel is secured. So make sure you guys do install this bracket the right way. This is supposed to be facing in towards the snorkel to make it a nice flat fitment. But let's now put the snorkel onto the car. Okay, once we work out where we want it, see how you've got so much movement to really make sure that this fits perfectly where you want it. Once you're happy with that snorkel fitment, what you're going to do is you're just going to mark exactly where that bracket fits onto the pillar. We can now remove the snorkel. Just remove that bracket back off the snorkel itself. Now coming back to the car, you can see that mark there. You can now line that back up and drill your 3 holes. Now you can't use a step drill when you're drilling into the pillar, so basically you've got to drill it with a pilot hole and then come through with an 8mm drill bit. Making sure that you do rust seal anything that you drill or cut. These clips are a perfect fit to those 8mm holes in the pillar, so you do need a little bit of assistance with a rubber mallet or the back of the screwdriver to make it flush. Now your airbox is ready to be reinstalled. Make sure that you hook up this adapter that connects the airbox to the snorkel, give the panel a wipe, and you're ready for the installation. As you're installing the snorkel onto the guard, make sure the inlet of the snorkel is pushed into the adapter. Once you are happy with the fitment of the snorkel on the car, you then use the rubber gaskets, washers and nuts and install them onto the threads inside the panel. Tighten the bolts up sufficiently so the foam gets pressed up against the panel and you create a nice seal. Make sure you do tighten the clamp for the adapter of the airbox as well as the 2 bolts for the pillar. Alrighty, last thing we've got to do is install the ram head. Make sure that you do put the supplied black clamp on. Loosely fit that on, make sure it's square with the car and then tighten it up. We are basically done, so reinstall the inner guard and drop it on the floor. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the Safari Snorkel installation on the 2021 GXL Land Cruiser. Now, there's actually one more step for you guys to do if you choose to do so, and that's sealing up your airbox. Safari do recommend that you guys silicone off the drain hole that's at the bottom of the airbox, so to make sure that your airbox is completely watertight and all that air is coming through the top of the snorkel. That is it for the installation. Now, I have been bombarding you guys with this build, but yeah, I cannot wait to put the suspension and tyres on. I think it's going to look $1 million. But guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.